Okay, let's offer some prayers to Prabhupada and let's get going. Let's get going. There's still some others joining, but let's make a start. Namo Om
Let everyone in if you like.
Bhutale Bhakti Varanta Swanti Namane. Namaste Sarasati Devi Gautavani Pachadane Nivasisha Sukhavari Pashtatara Satarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's okay, Modern Mongol. This one's a bit easier to manage. There's not so many.
Okay.
There's not so many that would or could be joining, so it's quite easy to do. So Hare Krishna, welcome those who've just joined us. Hare Krishna, welcome to Sankalpa-Kaumudi. Monday, the 1st of May. Today is May Day. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yes, Prabhu.
May Day,
In
yeah.
our countries, we call it Labor Day.
Labor Day, okay. I thought it was a bit quiet today. Hare Krishna. Okay, we're on page, those of you who have the book, we're on page 502, which is a series of questions and answers. So it's quite interesting. And just a little synopsis, covered what we covered last week. Now, the chapter is chapter 26. It's Attentive Bhajan. A little bit technical, but very, very interesting. At least I find it to be very, very interesting. Maharaj is describing the different developments of what's called ekagrata. Now, ekagrata is one of the main subjects of this book. So ekagrata means one-pointed attention. Yeah. So he correlates the development of attention, which we understand as smaran, remembrance. Yeah. Smaran, remembrance, has different stages, and particularly Maharaj is correlating the development of smaran he's correlating it with the chanting of the Maha Mantra and the different levels of absorption that devotees can enter into depending on their purity of heart and of course the grace of the Lord. Yeah. So, and the development, interestingly, does correlate with the classic practice of yoga, serious yoga practice which is aimed at meditation. Yeah. So you may have heard of these stages: yama, niyama, which means doing things favorable and rejecting things unfavorable; asan, which means one's position. So yama, niyama, asana; pranayam, control of the life affairs, and then from there onwards, it's more meditation. Pratyahara, the ability to, you've got it down here as well, pratyahara, or pratyahara, the ability to be absorbed. Then going on to dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. That means just deeper levels of absorption. Yeah. So now, without confusing things, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Jaivi Dharma, and also Srila Prabhupada in a Nectar of Instruction, he gives 5 stages of attentive bhajan, and we're going to be looking at that. Comes a little bit later. One of them is Shravandas. That's the stage of hearing and chanting. Then Varanadas. That's the stage of acceptance. Then Smaran. And Smaran, that's the stage of remembrance. And Bhava, the stage of ecstasy, Bhavapana, and Prema, the stage of perfection. Now, within that, there's a stage of Smaran. And that's what we're looking at. Smaran is further subdivided into the stages I mentioned, which is Smaran itself, which is recollection, then Dhyan or Dharana, absorption, okay, Dhyana, meditation, Anusmriti, constant remembrance, and Samadhi, trance. So hopefully you're not all bewildered by all of that. If there's any questions on that, I guess we will start reading, and then hopefully we'll have to put the bits of the jigsaw together. I was hoping, hopefully, what I'm going to try and work out to try and get a whiteboard that I can write on, so I can write these words down, and you can see them, and we can correlate them with the different stages. I think that might be easier to understand if we have something visual. I was watching a class or discussion with Chaitanya Charan speaking on third chapter Bhagavad Gita, and he uses that. He has a computer he writes on, and that way he has a visual explanation of what's been spoken of. Anyway, that's a little introduction.
And quick, sorry, should we find you a board maybe which you can write on it and it's appearing directly on the computer?
Yeah, that's yeah, I'm trying to figure something like that out. I've got a iPad thing here. It's a bit, but I'm going to try and see if I can do it on that.
My sister has a board, and I will see if using it or not. A drawing board.
Yeah. Okay, you can ask if you're using it. If you're not using it, we can make use of it. If not, I'll try and work something out. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Hare Krishna. So, welcome again, everyone who's with us today. So, again, we're on page 502. Well, we'll start at 501, right at the bottom. Yeah, right at the bottom, we'll start there. Mother Kunamayi, you have your hand up. She's the only one who has a hand up, at least I can see. So you can start reading. And we'll stop and discuss and make sure we're all understanding it as much as we can, you know.
The following sequence of questions and answers sheds further light on the message of this verse. What happens to the regulative practitioner when he attains steadiness? He should train his mind in systematic remembrance through Nam-Sankirtan of Krishna's names as expressed by the phrase Sukirtano Smrtyo Kramena. While he may not have much taste for the process, he has the requisite purity of mind.
Okay, just Maharaj is commenting on this verse, which I read now. Okay, this is from the eighth verse from Nectar of Instruction, and I've been learning this verse the last couple of days. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Goloka, Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. So that's the verse that Maharaj is now addressing and explaining through questions and answers. Okay, so this Sankirtanano Smrityu Kramena, this comes from this verse. Okay, you can carry on, Mother.
And what should he be remembering? He should remember Krishna's names. And as he becomes proficient in that, the sadhaka will remember Krishna's form, qualities, and pastimes as expressed by the phrase Nama-rupa Charitadi. What should that sadhana be practiced? How should that sadhana be practiced? The devotee should live in Vraj, either physically or within his mind, and under the guidance of a devotee experienced in the ways of devotion, he may internally aspire to follow the example of an eternal resident of Vraj, a Radhamika Bhakta.
Yes.
What will the development of a devotee's sadhana look like? It is individual and will vary from devotee to devotee. After fulfilling the qualifications of vraja-bhakti, a learned sadhaka will come to the conclusion that vraj-bhav is his aspiration. That is varana-dasa. Thereafter follows real sadhana by the process of remembrance through Nam Sankirtan, which is explained in the sections to follow.
Okay. Any questions there or comments? Just so we're all following as best as we can. Again, it is, yeah, what will the development of a devotee sadhana look like? So it's going to vary from devotee to devotee in its detail. After fulfilling the qualification of Shravandas. So Shravandas is a stage of hearing and chanting, but a specific quality of hearing and chanting that is without the fence. Now that will lead to what's called varana-dasa. So remember, varana-dasa is acceptance. So this is the acceptance that one's goal in life, one's existence actually only revolves, or they want their existence only to revolve around being a follower of the Lord, or specifically a follower of one of the Lord's associates in Vrindavan. So that's varana-dasa, the stage of acceptance. Yeah. And then after that, Maharaj is mentioning, that's when you could say we are doing sadhana now, but the real sadhana is specifically the development of our loving sentiment or relationship to Krishna. That's a different quality of sadhana. Yeah. And that's done through the process of remembrance. All these different processes or different levels of bhakti, it's all accompanied and achieved through the chanting of the holy name. Yeah. Not, well, in one sense, not just that, we also engage in other service as well, but primarily the development of absorption in consciousness is accessed through the medium of the holy name. So that's why Maharaj is given these different levels in regards to our chanting. Yeah.
Sorry, can I ask something quick?
Yes.
When it says that we need to follow a devotee of the Lord, that means that we need to follow our Guru Maharaj, or we can somehow, it happens that we are inspired also by someone else, or a Brajavasi, or I don't know, it's just I'm speculating.
Generally for us, it's going to mean in a general way, it's exactly as you said, it's following a spiritual master. Yeah, following the rule, following his instructions, following his example. And then he will then as one progresses, then you will become attracted to a specific service in the spiritual world, to a particular servitor. Now this is advanced stages of Krishna consciousness, yeah, which I don't have any realization about, but I've been reading about it and it's interesting. So yes, it's following a spiritual master, and then that spiritual master will then, or your shiksha or diksha, he will guide you in your inspiration to as it manifests in relationship to a particular resident of Vrindavan. Yeah. So you follow?
Yeah, sorry. And
so will be,
should we ask our Guru Maharaj further? We should communicate very close with him so we can realize.
Yes, to save us speculating or to save us making mistakes. You know, we might sentimentally conclude that we have a specific relationship, or we want to go in that specific direction. So then we will speak to the spiritual master. For instance, someone may come to that conclusion that, oh, I'm really inspired and I really want to follow the cowherd boys, but they may not be following the regulative principles very strictly. So then that is a nonsense conclusion.
Mm.
So that's the first thing we have to concentrate on. And then as we develop through the stages of being nishta, these other questions or inspirations may arise. Yeah. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Nimai Mata.
I was just thinking, mm, which I heard from a class from Jaiva if
Oh,
your
class in
spiritual
Jaiva Dharma. Okay.
yeah, if your spiritual master has not given you like instructions, like personal instructions, then you could follow his general instructions. So that way you will be following him. And also, every spiritual
Mm.
master have their own mood. So one spiritual master must be speaking uh, like all about humility. So likewise, if you can develop those uh, like those qualities, of course humility for everybody, but there will be some spiritual masters must be very much stressing on that. Somebody will be different, so you can find the mood and you can follow. So in that way you will be following your spiritual master. Is that
Yes,
right?
correct. Yeah. And that's probably the best meditation for us at our stage in our Krishna consciousness. We really want to be following an advanced devotee. Yeah. Our spiritual master or spiritual masters. Yeah. Or
Prabhu,
senior
I just have another
devotees.
question.
Yes. Sorry?
I have another question, Prabhu.
Yes.
I want to speak to my Guru Maharaj on certain things, but sometimes it is extremely impossible.
Mhm.
Where do I stand then, Prabhu?
Yeah. Well, this is something that we want, because when we teach the Guru Disciple course, it's one of the lessons, it's one of which we explain.
Yeah.
Before you take initiation, there's some things you might want to consider. For example, if you feel that you want personal instructions
Mm.
from your guru,
Mm.
then you may think twice, for example, about taking initiation from someone who has 10,000 disciples.
Yeah.
Because practically speaking,
For me,
it's going to happen. It's
yeah.
not going to happen. I mean, some devotees is fine. They don't mind. They feel so inspired by their guru. They can sit in a crowd of 1,000 people, listen
Yeah.
to the class,
Yeah, of course, it's okay with me.
and then
Prabhu,
they can
why
get
is that specific?
and then they can get everything they want.
Hmm. But
So
if you have something very specific to understand, uh, something very specific, which you don't want to tell it to anybody. So,
yeah, that's why what I was going to finish by saying is that, say if you are initiated by someone with whom you may not be able to get so much personal contact with. That's why we live in a society of many, many devotees. So there may be other devotees that can give you advice. There may be senior god brothers, senior god sisters, or senior persons within your sangha or within the congregation that you may be able to get to get advice from. Now, if for one reason or another that is not enough for you, and you really want that direction from your guru, it's not impossible, but you just have to be a bit, how can I say, you just have to you'd have to go through the specific protocol. I mean, spiritual masters are open. I mean, like I know devotees who, for instance, Radhanath Swami, and they got something and they really want to speak to him. And if they're determined enough, they can get to speak to him. But we have to understand that, we have to have, we practically speaking, we shouldn't have false expectations. Can you imagine someone like Radhanath Swami? I don't know how many disciples, or like your Guru Maharaj has, like, I don't know how many disciples, coming up to 20,000, I think.
No, 60 now.
65. Can you imagine if just a quarter of them wanted his personal association?
Now,
So,
yes, Prabhu. So I understand what you're saying totally. But
so
even is it okay in any? Is it necessary that you have to inform your Diksha Guru that if you want to have another Maharaj as your Shiksha Guru? Is it that's the etiquette, I believe. Is that right, Prabhu?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
That is correct, yeah. So you may, I mean, I don't know what your line of communication is with Jayapataka Maharaj, whether you're allowed to send emails or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
secretaries, things like that. So then he
7
should
o'clock.
he should be informed and he should give blessings for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, should we read on it, or what? Was there another question in that regard? Going into a guru disciple class now.
Sorry, Prabhu. Sorry.
No problem. I think it's very relevant question.
Sorry, I wanted to say something too, maybe to add. That's
Yeah.
why I think it's good to have a mentor or someone
Yeah.
very close to us, which we always communicate, and we can open our hearts. And then he will see from a different perspective and he can guide us.
Yeah, very good. So that's the point I was making. We shouldn't underestimate the standing of Vaishnavas within our actual community. Within every community, there is different levels of devotees. There is senior devotees who you can go to ask questions. You know, it's not just the guru, yeah, definitely, but also there may be senior god brothers, etc. Yeah, so just agreeing with what you're saying, Mother Mongol, basically. Yeah. And then Krishna will go, and Krishna's there within our heart as well to help guide us.
I think we're pretty lucky in a sense that we have so many Srila Prabhupada disciples,
Yeah.
and you know, we can go to them as Shiksha Gurus. We can ask them any questions, all of them, you know.
That's very, and
So we can approach everyone, really. I mean, this time in February when we went, we had Srila Prabhupada disciple with us, and you know, lady, and sometimes certain questions you cannot ask a Prabhu, you know, and you want to ask a lady disciple something. And, you know, it was so nice to have Srila Prabhupada's disciple there who could answer my questions.
Yeah. So that's a very good point you're making, Kuruma, is that the Gaudiya Vaishnav culture is very much one of a Shiksha culture. So often, though, where we have this idea that only my guru, my Diksha guru can actually answer my questions. But actually, Kuruma is just reminding us that there are many Prabhupada, well, I say many Prabhupada disciples, there is less. And at one point, there won't be any, you know. But presently, there is senior, and even if there's no Prabhupada disciples, then there will be senior devotees who we can ask and we can consult with, you know. Because we live in a world, we live in a worldwide society of Vaishnavas.
And also one more thing. Also, there is the Shastra, which if we look, there is everything inside.
Yeah, but then Shastra's there, but then we also could ask questions about our conclusions of Shastra and how to apply it as well. And that's what we're doing now. We're discussing amongst ourselves, you know, Shastra, you know. Because definitely if I read this on my own, I get one thing from it. But when I read it in a discussion like this, questions and answers, and we're having a discussion, I get a lot more from it than I do reading and studying it on my own. Okay. Should we edge on a little bit? Yes, let's edge on a little bit.
Is it compulsory to embrace vraja-bhakti? This verse offers advice. One can choose to worship some other form of Krishna. However, Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, and Saraswati Thakur recommend that one become a follower of Vrajvasi. That is emphasized by the phrases Tistan Vraje and Tad Anuragi Jananugami.
Jananugami, that's an interesting word. Jananugami. Nice word.
How does raga-bhakti manifest as one passes through the 5 steps of smarana-dasa, from smaran to samadhi? As mentioned earlier, the sadhaka will begin as a regulated devotee. When he reaches the stage of ruchi and ashakti, he will probably awaken greed, enter the realm of spontaneous devotion.
Okay, everyone's with us. Any questions or comments here? Again, we're hearing about at least higher levels of achievement in the bhakti, where one becomes inspired by a vraja-bhakti, their particular mood. Yeah. One should choose to worship one can choose to worship some other form of Krishna. Whether Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, and Saraswati Thakur recommend that one become a follower of a vraja-bhakti. Okay, we are Rupa Nugas, so we're following Rupa Goswami, who's specifically giving details about Vraj. Yeah. Okay, any questions or comments?
Yes, as you said, you have to find a Rupa of Krishna's form, whichever form you like, you follow or pray to.
Yeah, say that again, a Rupa of, yeah, well, generally we're directed to Krishna in Vraj. That's our particular line, Rupa Nugas and Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and that's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is revealing and is actually giving. Because there's other, there's Lord Nrsingadev, there's Lord Ramachandra. I think we have discussed before. It's a nectar of devotion. But our Pacific lineage, our Pacific family are generally focused on Vraj, yeah, and specifically on Krishna. Doesn't mean you can't worship Lord Ram or Lord Nrsinga and exclusively worship them. You can, but generally our direction is towards the residence of Vrindavan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Okay, let's call on perhaps Mother Chandravali. You'd like to read? Your hands there.
Yeah. Right, where were we?
In support of the answer above.
In support of the answer above, we quote Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna, even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called raga-bhakti, or devotional service in spontaneous love.
I think we read this last week, but no harm reading it again. I think we covered that, isn't it? Everyone's clear what it means, even without following regulative principles. I think we discussed that last week.
We did. Yeah.
So let's go on with that. This transition, go on.
Transition of mood is also confirmed in Srila Prabhupada's explicit translation that begins with, the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and one devotee, what's his name? He's comes to the morning program every day. Pachura, I think his name. That is 24 hours a day. That's not from Rupa Goswami. Prabhupada put that in his translation of Rupa Goswami's verse. It was more or less the same thing. One should utilize one's full time. Then Prabhupada put 24 hours a day, just in case we're not clear what that meant. So something to aspire for, 24 hours a day. Yes. Go on, Mother.
To be continually absorbed in Krishna in thought and deed is possible only in Raganuga Bhakti. In the prose, beginning with Tat Evam Tat Tad Abhiman Lakshana Bhav Visheshana. Jiva Goswami also says that the practice of hearing about the devotees of Vraj awakens and develops Raganuga Bhakti. As a reader,
so just by hearing about the devotees of Vraj, then gradually within one will awaken an attraction. Yep. Go on.
As the reader continues to inquire, we answer accordingly. When a devotee attends rag, does his sadhana change? While external practices remain the same, the internal meditation develops in many ways. Most notably, the earlier general acceptance of Vraj Bhakti becomes very specific as varna-dasa, wherein the sadhaka selects the mood of bhav for which he aspires, a mood such as friendship or conjugal love. What happens if during sadhana, a devotee's vaidhi attitude does not change to raga? Then he continues according to his inclination. When the regulated devotee attains bhav without greed, he will require spiritual guidance to facilitate his transition to raga-bhakti. With the help of a raga guru, he will awaken the desire for a mood of vraja-bhakti and learn how to concentrate on it.
Okay, follow that. So that means someone may not specifically follow the path of Raganuga sadhana. Yeah, meditating exclusively on the residents of Vrindavan, exclusively being inspired by them. They may be, I think Marge gave a wonderful paragraph explaining about such a devotee. I'll just read it here. Vaidhi sadhaka enters the domain of smaran and ascends its stages under direction of revealed scriptures and his spiritual master. His object of worship is Krishna, the opulent supreme personality of Godhead, the cowherd prince, the king of Dwarka, and source of countless incarnations. During Nam Sankirtan, such a sadhaka generally meditates on the beautiful sound of the holy names, and his reading of scripture is not dedicated solely to the pastimes of Raj, but to all of Krishna's pastimes. You follow? That's unlike a Raganuga, someone who's practicing Raganuga sadhana. Yeah, they are meditates on the beautiful sound of the holy name, and his reading of scripture is not dedicated solely to the pastimes of Raj, but to all of Krishna's pastimes. Such a sadhaka's humble self-conception is that he is a spirit soul, an eternal servant of Krishna. He has no specific role model to follow, or if he does, it is not necessarily a resident of Raj. So that may be the general practice of devotees. Now, if they follow the process of Krishna consciousness as has been described there, they will at some point, through purification, through really sincere following of the process of Krishna consciousness, they will come to the level of bhava. And at the level of bhava, they will then become spontaneously attracted as a perfected Raganuga sadhaka. You follow? But that will have to be, like Maharaj explains, it will be without a specific lolium. Yeah, so he will require guidance to facilitate a healthy transition to Raganuga Bhakti. Yeah, with the help of someone who is a rag guru described, someone who's attuned in to the mellows of Raj. Yeah. And he will guide the devotee. Okay, so is that clear? Yeah. Trying to make it clear for myself as well. That's why I just repeated that paragraph again. Okay. Silence means
no, I was thinking like that as well.
Yeah.
So you said, I just want to think. So you said that when the devotee is like he hasn't got a specific angle.
Yeah.
So he's looking at Krishna's pastime openly with everything, right?
Yeah, yeah. They are not practicing Raganuga sadhana.
Yes. So what happens to the ones like reading from the books? They have specific ideas what they like from where they want to go. So then I'm just thinking the other way. Like then all Krishna's other pastimes, they're there, but they're not so interested because their thoughts are something else. So what happens with that kind of devotee?
Well, exactly as you're explaining, their sadhana will be specific. The qualitative or the quantitative focus of their sadhana will be to develop their attraction and absorption. So, for instance, they will read specific pastimes of Krishna in order to aid their smaran while chanting. But as Maharaj has explained, I think in the Sudha Bhakti Chintamani, they will have attraction as well. They will not in any way, shape, or form be disrespectful or think in a negative way about any of Krishna's pastimes. Yeah, they appreciate everything about Krishna, whether he's fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, whether he's killing demons, whether he's killing Putana, whatever it may be. Krishna is attractive for them. But specifically, the qualitative focus of their sadhana will be on their specific attraction to develop in their smaran. That's where they will find themselves going.
Like reading, hearing, the
Yeah.
hearing go that way, the reading
Yeah.
goes to that.
So they may read about Krishna's leaving in the morning for the cowherds and things like that. They read about Radharani coming to cook for Krishna. And they're reading it for the purpose of smaran, of remembering. And
Prabhu,
that's called Raganuga Sadhana. Now, devotees may not be exclusively Raganuga sadhakas, as Maharaj mentioned. It's not one or the other. It may be, some aspects like that. Yeah, sorry, Nitya.
I just wanted to ask this. Even you sometimes to Smarana, when you want to chant, you may look at a picture that you would like. It's not, of course, all the Krishna's pictures are beautiful, but sometimes you can really pick up the picture that you would like. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it can, of course. Yeah, we're supposed it was we're chanting Hare Krishna. You can look at pictures of Krishna. But actually, remember we was reading, reading in Sudha Bhakti Chintamani, a devotee's favorite practice is the development within their chitta, within their consciousness.
Yeah.
Rather than looking externally,
Hmm.
they look within the sky of their heart while chanting for remembrance of Krishna.
Yeah.
Interesting. So some devotees may look at picture, but actually the more absorbing practice is to close your eyes and remember Krishna within the sky of your heart.
Yeah.
While you're chanting.
Exactly. But sometimes, Prabhu,
But if pictures are there, of course we can chant.
and why I was asking this question is, sometimes if you look at the picture, you're not, and you want to look away and you want to remember, in case your mind goes somewhere, then you won't see anything else, then you see the picture. So
Yeah, you can do
always
that.
you're caught.
Yeah, there was one devotee, I think we said this before, I think Padavijaya tells this story where he had an apparatus built on his head with a picture of Krishna coming down in front of him. This metal frame. So wherever he looked, he could see Krishna. Yeah, if we're unfocused, we can't focus, then we can focus on a picture of Krishna. But our focus really, first stop is to focus on the sound.
Sound, yeah.
We want to practice that. At least we want to practice where we can sit down and hear the sound. Yeah, hear the Maha Mantra. And for some, that will be enough just to hear Krishna's sweet name, just to hear the name. But then eventually they will come, as Maharaj explains, they will come through the result of that, aided by service as well. They will come to the stage of spontaneous attraction at bhava. And then they will be tutored how to direct that ecstasy. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So this book is it's quite amazing, this book, and it goes quite deep into the subject of Krishna consciousness. I I hope we're not all going to get in trouble for speaking about these subject matters.
Why trouble, Prabhu?
I don't know. No, because we're reading it and stopping and discussing and.
Oh, sorry.
Well, that's what it's meant to be, isn't it?
Yes,
Studying.
yes.
But
Quick,
it
let's carry
helps.
on.
It does
Yeah.
help to strengthen our vow.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Actually, Maharaj, I think someone said that. I think I mentioned to Shivaram Maharaj at some point that I'm doing a group reading with Sankalpa-Kaumudi, Sudha Bhakti Chitamani, and he was very happy. He was very happy that it's being done. Yeah, because the devotees are gathering together and they're reading and studying the science of devotion. He was happy. So Hare Krishna. So let's continue. Yeah, you're muted.
Sankalpa-Kaumudi, and he was quite happy as well.
Who?
Bhakti Vikas Swami.
Right, static. We've got the blessings from all the senior Vaishnavas. So we must be doing okay. We must be safe. Great. Okay, Mother Chandravali, you can read. I think you only read a little bit, and then I cut you off and started rabbiting on.
It's good. We're studying. That's what.
Yes.
That we read a bit and we try and understand it.
Yes.
Okay. Am I there? In this regard, is that where I was? In this regard, it should be clear that without rag, one cannot enter vraj. This principle is recorded by Kaviraj Goswami as Vidhi Mag Na Prapaye Vraj Krishna Chandra. One cannot obtain Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan simply by serving the Lord according to regulative principles. By regulated worship of Krishna, one may attain the Vaikuntha planet.
Sorry, Mother Chandravali. Can you tell me what page you're on? I went back a few.
504.
504. Okay, go on. I'll find it then. Carry on.
At the bottom. By regulate worship of Krishna, one may attain the Vaikuntha planets or the liberation of one's choice. This is because Bhakti Yoga is so powerful, and because Krishna very mercifully reciprocates with the desire of his devotee. He says, by performing such regulated devotional service in awe and veneration, one may go to Vaikuntha and attain the 4 kinds of liberation. But readers should note that a sadhaka will only achieve a perfection that corresponds to his sadhana. It will not be otherwise. Previously, we wrote about the qualification and attainment of vaidhi sadhakas. For emphasis and to clarify the misconception that all devotional practice lead to the same destination, we again cite the version of acharyas on this subject. Rupa Goswami explains that those attached to vaidhi bhakti sadhana, but attracted to the mood of conjugal love will attain a bhav that qualifies them as the queen of Dwarka or as an attendant of a queen. I'm just trying to understand that.
Yeah, that means like a vaidhi sadhana, they so not bound, but they don't enter into the realms of Raj meditation. They just, as I read that paragraph, they're very happy chanting the holy names of the Lord, and their approach to Radha Krishna is very much one of awe and reverence. They are not developing the intimate moods, say, of the Manjaris or the Gopas, yeah, who and how they relate to Krishna, but they're attracted to the attraction between Radha and Krishna, but they maintain a sense of awe and reverence. So interesting. Maharaj mentioned before that there's a place called what was it called?
Goloka.
Vaikuntha Goloka. So a place with Radha and Krishna, and their worship there with great awe and reverence. It's not Lakshmi Narayan, it's Radha Krishna who worship awe and reverence.
All in reverence.
That means the king and queen. They're the king and queen. They are the laws of creation. They are the everything. They are, you know, they are not, yeah. Whereas the resident of Vrindavan, Krishna's a lovable boy from the village. You know, you get the idea. I think we know, yeah.
I like more the second part.
Yeah, but here, I'm just making about, yeah, they may qualify them as the queen of Dwarka or as an attendant to one of the queens. Yeah.
What threw me out was to the mood of conjugal love. So I thought if they've got that mood,
Yeah, but conjugal love is there in Vaikuntha as well, Lakshmi Narayan. That's also conjugal.
yeah.
The relationship between male and female, conjugal, but specifically in the mood of like Krishna and Rukmini, you know,
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the queens of Dwarka is conjugal, but it's with the mood of awe and reverence. Like the queens themselves, they
Got it.
they
Like,
approach Krishna with a sense of awe and reverence.
yes, the way you explain conjugal, but in the mood of awe and reverence.
Yeah.
Mm,
Like for instance, the queens in Dwarka will never do the things that Radharani might do
yes.
to Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Qu-
Yeah.
Can I? So it's maybe it's not the. Do they are they children also up in the Goloka Vrindavan? Children.
There are, yeah, youngsters. There is all types of ages there. There is young babies. There is there's young babies. There's children, 2 or 3, 4. Yes, it is a society as we see society here in this world with all ages, because that will makes the you know, that creates the perfect picture of a village where you got babies who need attending by the mothers, you know, etc.
Then
Yeah,
how
when
do they eternally?
goes and pinches them.
Sorry, yeah.
Men,
How-
babies always? Or
How do they
Sorry, let's get Monomongo. Finish your question, your sentence there.
do they leave? Do they stay forever babies, or they gonna grow because they live eternally?
Yeah, this is where us from the realm where we're completely enamored or completely relate only to time, when we try and understand a place with no time, it becomes a little bit difficult. But yes, they are eternally their specific ages, as far as I understood, unless someone can explain different. Or yeah, another point I want to mention, if you happen to be listening to this recording like in a few months or next week, and you have some questions or you've heard some mistake that we've made, and you could please let us know, you know. Anyway, just a side point there. But yeah, so for instance, there is elders there is grandmothers there are the elders, and they stay at that age. Yeah.
Or can I say something? Maybe because there's infinite universes, and when the children grow up, they go to a different universe, but they're the same universe, and they are exchanging and they're playing in that way.
Yeah, maybe it's not the word we really want to just maybe that's also called, with all due respect, a bit speculation. I haven't heard that, but as far as I understand, yeah, there's one nice poem by Rupa Goswami, Raja-Vilastava, and he offers prayers to all the different residents of Raj, even to the carpenters who make seats for Krishna, to the persons who pick the flowers, to the persons who make the clothes, to the elders, all different members of the community in Raj. And it's a large community. Like there's a whole, for instance, in Raj, he mentions there's some service which is just making spices, and that's their service. There's other services where they're gardeners. Yeah, there's other services where they're making furniture, and that's their service in Goloka Vrindavan. You know, is all, and all the details. There's what other services there. You can everything there. Yeah, there's services where they make sense, you know, and so they gather certain herbs from the gardens and the forests, and with that they make sense, and they give it to Mother Yasoda for Krishna, you know, like that. And there's all different ages. It's a community, but it's an eternal community. Which, Hare Krishna. Okay.
No.
Yes. Okay, let's read on a little bit. Does anyone else like to read? I can't see any hands. Otherwise, Chandravali can read. Oh, I can read. Where did you leave off, Mother?
Devotee who serves on the path of vaidhi-bhakti.
Okay, yeah, you was asking a question, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that 505?
Yep, in the middle.
Okay. Shall I read a little bit? In his commentary to this verse, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur adds that a vaidhi sadhaka who is more pacific in his desire and who aspires for the service of Radha and Krishna in the Vraja attains a bhava that qualifies him for service in the portion, oh yeah, here it is, in the portion of Raj where the divine couple are worshipped in wedlock and in awe and reverence. Yeah, here we go. That part of Goloka Vrindavan is known as Krishna Vaikuntha Goloka, or simply as Goloka. All right. Side point, Jiva Goswami, some of his followers could not relate to Krishna's Padakya. What's it? Padakya rasa. Did I get this right? Padakya. The other one is Swakiya. Yeah, and they couldn't relate to it at all. So, and it was, and it was, as far as I understood, that it was eroding their faith in the principle, you know. So then Jiva Goswami, from the scriptures, was glorifying the wedded love of Radha and Krishna, and he wrote he wrote a book on that, you know. So there was discussion amongst Vaishnavas after, you know, subsequent Vaishnavas saying, no, look, Jiva Goswami says this here. But actually, Jiva Goswami was just brought this out in order to serve the purposes of particular followers of his who wanted to relate or could not relate to the unwedded conjugal affairs of Radha and Krishna. So it's, you know, a bit of history there. My Guru Maharaj mentioned that before. So anyway, and finally, those devotees who worship Radha and Krishna according to the regulative principles and who want to attain raga, but for some reason do not or cannot, will upon the attainment of ecstasy have the opportunity to develop the suitable spontaneous mood and advance towards the service of the divine couple in Vraj. So that means, like, a devotee they want it, but they're fearful, they're hesitant to read these subjects of Radha and Krishna's conjugal affairs. Yeah, out of, you could say, yeah, as Maharaj says, they do not or cannot, but they would like to be, they're attracted to it, but they're hesitant to enter into the realms of this sadhana where they may specifically develop that at their specific stage. So remember that Raganuga sadhana can be practiced by someone at the stage of nishta. This is not only Raganuga sadhana is not for devotees specifically at the stage of a shakti or bhava. It can be followed by devotees who are just at the stage of nishta. Okay. So that means there's still impurities in the heart. Yeah. So therefore, some devotees may not feel themselves qualified. But as Maharaj says, when they come to the stage of bhava, they will develop the suitable spontaneous mood and advance towards the service of the divine couple in Vraj. Okay, you clear on that? And
Yeah. So
and-
there is kind of a line that you jump from this to that. You're
Yeah.
going through. So
And-
mixed things are there. Like
Yeah.
like
sorry, I keep cutting you off.
no, I'm just
you
trying
go.
to understand it. So like when you going through different stages, you don't just get to the other stage just like that, but you're going through and you're going to have like anasas and things like that, but you'll get purified as you going up.
Yeah, that's it. So you go through the stages of Nishta, Ruchi, Shakti, and then Bhava. And just to mention as well, Prabhupada's general, Shivaram Swami mentions in the book, The Awakening of Spontaneous Devotion, the last 2 chapters, very interesting. One's called Spontaneous Devotion in ISKCON and Warnings, you know. So the safe path, he does mention, the safe path is the latter, which we just mentioned, is where you just follow the principles and process of Krishna consciousness, and at the stage of bhava, everything becomes
Clear.
then you develop a suitable spontaneous mood. Yeah. So that's the general preferred or the more common path that's followed. And that's the path that Prabhupada would, or preferred, as far as I remember Maharaj's words used. But it doesn't mean the other path is against the law. It's not. If you do have an attraction for Vraj and you love hearing about Vrindavan pastimes and the pastimes in Radha and Krishna, do it, but do it according to how it's, under direction. You understand? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thus, in addition to the general attainment of Lord Narayan's Vaikuntha planets, these are the 3 perfections available to regulated devotees. The questions and answers now continues to their completion. Why do you say that a devotee who has attained bhava will cultivate a mood of bhakti? Is he not already at the perfectional stage? A bhava bhakta is still a sadhaka, a practitioner. In other words, he's not a prema bhakti. Yeah, he's not attained prema. Although he has realized his spiritual identity, that identity must develop through stages of bhava and prema until the attainment of mature devotional mellow, rasa. And rasa has different ingredients, which is mentioned in the Nectar Devotion. Such development takes place through cultivation and can be understood from the following example. Okay, let's read the example so we can understand. Sadhana bhakti is like a child in a womb. Bhava bhakti is when the child takes birth and has a manifest form. Prema bhakti is when the baby grows to adolescence and matures physically and psychologically. And the devotional mellow rasa is when that adolescent is established in his varna and ashram and thus has a mature social identity. Okay, we follow that? Very nicely explained. So bhava, the form manifests, but it's not fully developed. It's not fully developed. So through the name, through their meditation, and through guidance, the specific psychology of your form will manifest as you progress through different stages of bhava, and then ultimately to prema. A nice example Maharaj gave of a child within the womb. So the child takes birth, but there's still, you have to go.
Yeah.
You have to, okay, you've realized or you understand deep intuitively a particular relationship to Krishna has been revealed, but not everything.
Oh. Child,
absolutely.
yeah, just like child needs support of the parents and everybody. That's why Bharat Maharaj didn't have that support. He fell down.
Yeah, he was at Bhava. Yeah, he was worshipped. Yeah, he was at Bhava.
But he didn't have the support of devotee association.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons is explained.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay, I think that what's the time? I think that's enough for 1 week, isn't it? For us to digest everything that we just read today. And it just came to mind to see how many devotees with us. I mean, different devotees there. I mean, if you do have an opportunity, not so many of us, but I would be nice if you could ask your Pacific spiritual masters if it's okay for you to read and study this book. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They might be, yeah, and then you get their blessings as well, or they might say no. Yeah, so I think that's a
I-
good thing to do.
I have
But
and
we have already
quite
almost done, no, Prabhu. We are almost going through now.
Yeah. Anyway, just a side point. It's not a big thing, but if you do happen to have that, I think Madhu Mongol, you've mentioned to Janananda Maharaj, and he's happy for you to read and study these books.
Yeah, he advised me. He said that I should read them. I have 2 books, which he said not yet.
All right, we won't ask you them in public, but
I think
what's that? Bhagavad Gita and Ishopanishad. Yeah. Okay, let's stop there for today. And tomorrow we have a open house Bhagavad Gita. We have a couple people signed up. It seems like we have 58 so far have signed up, but not all of them come. There's only 3 or 4 or 5 of them come along. Anyway, open session tomorrow on Bhagavad Gita. You can tune in the 3rd chapter. Okay. So thank you everyone for giving us this opportunity to read this wonderful subject about Krishna consciousness. Never-ending, wonderful subject to discuss.
Prabhu, I have a question, but if you stop the recording.
Oh God. Okay. We're going to stop recording. We have a question that
Yeah, because